captains of each of those squads picked the commanders, voted on who they thought the 2 commanders of their group stages should be, and then those 2 commanders drafted each of the squads based on whatever info they had, or maybe they just thought their name looked cool. So I totally agree with you. I do think it'll be pretty balanced, but who knows who could swing for the fences here. And excited to talk a little bit about these teams. So let's take a look at our bracket. Again, only 4 total teams. If you hear us say the word team, we're talking about the entire team of 20. When we say squad, that's going to be your teams of 4 inside of each of these teams, if you will. So here are our 4 teams. Now, all of our squads came in with either organization names or friend group names or gaming names, whatever you want to call it. And then the captains, the commanders, they chose the overall team name for this squad. 5 squads underneath the Squirtle squad, for instance, the Division, Legacy, and the Avengers. So those are our 4 teams. Group A is Squirtle squad and the Division. So Vivid, I'd like to take a bit of a look at these 2 teams to take a look at all of our individual squads.
Gotta say, I feel like the commanders on some of the sides here took a little bit more serious when they were trying to pick like an intimidating team name, right? Obviously, Squirtle Squad being named and commanded by Exterminia, as you can see right there, highlighted in green in the middle of your screen. All 20 of these players are going to be going head-to-head against the Division.
Really good shot. It's been fun to kind of watch our players talk about strategy, talk about what they're going to do, how they're going to do it, who's split up on engineer duty, who's going to be playing more recon duty, get the Luna arrows down. I mean, there's a lot that goes into Warfare, and I think the fun part about these competitions is we hop into the game and we see it get going. I want to remind everybody, the fun part, well, there's going to be a crazy amount of action. It's non-stop chaos when it comes to Warfare. Squirtle squad is going to be your attackers to start. They're going to be in red anytime we're looking at the perspective of our observers. So if you see red, that's going to be Squirtle squad. That's going to be the attack. The defense will always be in green. So keep that in mind as we're going forward, as we get to the very first point. This is where, honestly, Vivid, this is how you set your game up for success. The longer you take on A, the worse it is for you when you get to some capture points that are a bit harder.
I loved fighting this on like defense, because there's like these little valleys that people always kind of run through, and it's like a straight shot towards them. So kind of holding it down for me was always such a treat. But I'm not gonna lie, as soon as the match kind of started and we jumped in, I saw Randy Savage off to the right over there. That path that me and Goj were kind of talking about to the right over here in the hills, I saw him taking that, the ATV up here, and I saw him instantly put down a respawn point. So early on, already looking for those, kind of flanks and establishing those beacons to make sure his team can kind of get established. And as you can see it right there off in the distance, that respawn beacon is down.
Yeah, respawn beacons, especially in competitive, are everything. If you're not playing your respawn beacons correctly, or you're not trying to shoot down the respawn beacons of your opponents, you will quickly find yourself losing ground. Now, a couple quick reminders. We are playing Victory Unite, which means our commanders can issue orders. It's extra ways to get points. As we see, the smokes are down. There's no question about it. And we are barrel stuffing our opponents. The commanders can earn extra points by giving orders that are successful, okay? So if they're able to say, hey, take this point, and you're able to do it within a certain amount of time, they get extra points. The commanders will earn a lot of extra points throughout the course of today's event, and as such, they are extremely important part of today's event, because they'll be the ones calling in a lot of those streaks, a lot of those support systems that we always see. More vehicles, maybe even mortar strikes, and who knows, maybe we'll see a guided missile. I'm sure we will if the games go long.
Yeah, definitely going to play a big role, right? That's how these teams are kind of going to establish dominance when it comes down to the vehicle gameplay, listening to your commander, making sure your commander is giving out good, calls and everything like that your team can easily follow right here. And I'm not going to lie, Goj, kind of early on into this match, I was like, yeah, the attackers, they look like they're going to have a pretty good push. I saw right side was kind of flooding in, left side was kind of flooding in onto the point, but I don't see much progress anymore.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest with you, I felt very similarly, and then all of a sudden, the kill feed on the right was all green all day. The defense is just set up near flawlessly around the point. They've got a couple people kind of playing routeman on the outside to just pick up a couple freebies, but the point is held very effectively. Of course, anytime you capture a point, you'll be able to get some of those tickets or those lives back that you see top middle. But in Victory Night, you don't start with all that minis. Start with 175 on point A here on Cracked. We've already lost about 40 or so. And not to get too deep into every single minutia of some of the experience and strategic things you can do, but support is a huge role for competitions like this. You have to pick up, especially on the attacking side, you have to pick up your teammates, because these lives will go down very, very quick. Gotta get revives.
I mean, you want to talk about the 20v20 aspect, right? We got to go ahead and highlight Randy again. They're playing it so smart. He went way deeper on the flank than he maybe necessarily would have. If I was in like a public match, I would have, ran right into the point, like, oh, listen, I'm on a flank. He kept flanking, and that has established a very good line of sight towards the backside of the point that hopefully the team can go ahead and utilize right there, as I do see him go down in the top right. But I saw a bunch of squad mates go ahead and spawn in on him during that flank. So, maybe they can kind of make something of that. But again, go just talking about top right. It's all green.
It's all green, man. It's looking like the defense is holding very well right now. And essentially, you start seeing real value on our overall scores. I think that's our first vehicle, by the way, that just came in for the attack. So this may be a difference maker. Chicka chicka boom boom on the outside, playing flank, like you said. This whole squad kind of playing a flanking position, but unfortunately not able to find an angle. Our first vehicle makes it to the point, and our attackers have found a move to get to A. We'll see if it works well for them.
Yeah, that wide right there, right? We saw a lot of red on the point. Look at all of that. And if you take a look at the top middle of your screen, it was pushing their way, but no. Now the box is kind of filling back up. More green is being established, which means that there are more defenders on the point than there are attackers. So they have reclaimed possession of this flag. And sure enough, look at that. That square towards the top of the screen, that's going to be filled all the way back up. I think the push was going ahead and thwarted right there.
Yeah, that's honestly impressive and also super unfortunate if you're the attack. Any momentum you had completely cut out, and you've got to set up again and then execute again. And we're now getting into the territory where this is a win overall. Regardless how the rest of this point plays out, this is going to be a win for the defense because they're burning tickets. They're burning lives. Our attackers will not get all of these lives back going into point B, even if they do capture. So far, so good for the division.
Incredible, right? You went ahead and mentioned the 175 tickets is what they were starting with. I think they called that vehicle in around 100, right? So if you kind of do some math right there, around 75 tickets before they got their first vehicle. And you were kind of talking about that momentum. You call in the vehicle, you're feeling good about it, the push works out, you start to take the point, and then boom, all of that's kind of thwarted, right? So until they get that next vehicle, that may be what it takes to go ahead and actually push onto the point. We'll have to see when that next vehicle kind of comes in.
Yeah, I want to say we briefly saw it on the side. You should see it on your screen here shortly. Our first tank spawn, I believe, for our attackers. First vehicle, I believe, was a transport vehicle mostly, with an armored gunner on top. But this is going to be a tank coming in for the attackers here in a moment. This should open things up quite dramatically if they're able to find some value with it and not lose it too quickly.
Tank would be huge, but you do have to be careful, right? The fact that they are so important means that you don't want to go ahead and get it blown up early on. So the engineers will be, an important role. But look at that, Goj. It's not the tank. They went ahead and pushed through with a different vehicle, and it's already on the point, but it's taking some damage.
Yeah, at this point, you can call it a tank in the sense that it's tanking the damage of just bullet sponge. Everybody's looking at this vehicle. Not one of the most powerful vehicles, transport vehicle with that gunner on top again. And that's namely because, frankly, they don't have a lot of score yet. They can't call in these tanks, and they're only getting what the map spawns in at the beginning. So maybe if we get really down to the wire on this first push, you could get a more valuable vehicle. But it maybe just drew enough attention for the attackers to make a nice sizable push over onto the point. You can see them all stacked up inside, and the smokes are in. Obviously, we've got a couple operators that can throw smokes. We're seeing a lot of stingers on the map, not only because of the quick revive, therapeutic gun nice, but also those smoke lines, insanely important.
So that vehicle went down pretty fast, but it may have established a line right there. And if you see that first building on point A right there, that's just below that hill where a lot of the attackers are on. Once you kind of slide down that hill, you actually start to go ahead and capture the point. So these defenders are going to know that, right? If as soon as the point starts to get taken and they don't see anybody around them, they know that these attackers are kind of hiding and laying down on the backside of that building. It's kind of like a little bit of a cheeky spot to go ahead and pick up some of the extra points needed, as Asher is well aware of Randy Savage on the flank. Could you imagine if Asher doesn't turn around there and Randy Savage just gets so much value out of that flank?
Yeah, those are those moments where we talk a lot about macro and warfare and the team and what the team's doing, but there are moments of individual highlight, hero-level plays from some of our individuals, and that certainly could have been one of those there. Getting a quick look with, I would say new, I guess been in the game for a little bit while, but ever since the Delta Force Global League, Raptor, new operator, and a little bit of value of scouting with the drones, so far so good, I suppose, but generally speaking, a pretty wide variety of operators, but Stinger being very obvious pick for a lot of folks, at least at the beginning here at Cracked.
Yeah,
got a vehicle on the defense side here, Vivid, too.
The rescues are just so huge, and yeah, that vehicle could be the thing that goes ahead and win this point, right? As you can see right there, a lot of progress made towards capturing this point right there, so much so that it was actually almost at the halfway point. And as I say that, it looks like it's going to get there, and nope, I jinxed it.
Only 37 lives. This is kind of make or break, all right? We have to get a move on. We've got to get on this point, and here's the unfortunate thing. Yes, we got another transport vehicle for the attack, but we got a tank destroyer on the side of the defense, and woo, show me some value out of Tempest. Chicka chicka boom boom. Nice play.
Yeah, awesome to see that Tempest kind of getting some warfare love as well. That thing is wreaking havoc in operations right there. And as I saw it, Randy Savage went ahead and picked up that vehicle that was wreaking havoc for the defensive side. And something that we don't necessarily see as much, I feel like, in warfare, the shield kind of coming out right there. They need to kind of establish some sort of a front line, so maybe that was kind of like their answer to it, but it doesn't look like it's getting much done. Goj, we got 20 tickets left.
This is brutal. I mean, this is incredibly unfortunate, I think, for the attackers. I don't see an opening for them. And again, the issue is, okay, there's our opening. I knew it was going to come at the very end of this map. Wormy in a tank. Time to make a move. Now, the defense, again, because they picked up so much score in this battle, we've seen way more green than we've seen red. I was going to say, it may not be alive for long. The tank destroyer comes in, and everyone on the defense turns, immediately drops some of those magnetic bombs from Viren, as well as probably some AT-4s. Unreal. Tank gone in a blink of an eye, and now all they have is an IFV.
Roger that.
Yeah, I mean, no progress being made. They're just getting stopped. And you can see right there, when we kind of tune into the defenders, a lot of them playing that engineer role so much so that they're kind of like hiding in the back lines. They don't even have their guns out. They're just ready to go ahead and blow up some of those vehicles. They have done such a good job of making sure they get very minimum value. Those vehicles from the attacking side have not stayed along for long at all. And now it's going to be just about finishing off the last few tickets here for the defending side.
Wow. I thought maybe it was going to be a long one, and unfortunately, I think it was quite...
That's right. If we're going to see some more of those kind of flank plays coming in, if they're just going to kind of run it up the middle, try to get some smokes down, try to throw bodies on the point, and how their vehicles end up playing on this first point.
It's a great shout. Well, it's time for the game. Let's see what our attackers are able to do. One of the things that I usually mention with Cracked as well, I'll mention here, Cracked is very momentum-based. Most of Warfare is, but this map in particular. So if the attack come out swinging right off rip, you can see point A go within the first 10 to 15 lives.
Instantly already saw the same strategy as well. You know how I talked about it before, where Randy would kind of use that ATV to go up that right side and then put a respawn beacon down. Already saw the attackers kind of doing that, so they definitely agree with that one right now. And I feel like we're kind of seeing the same sort of grouping of players, right? Boom, right up there on the hill over to the right side, and then another set of attackers kind of coming in from the left. But I'm not going to lie, some of them are kind of getting close, right? They're already getting close quarters onto this point.
Yeah, we're seeing a lot more red in the kill feed this time around. And again, our teams have swapped sides, which means they've swapped colors. The Division now in red. The Division need to take this point and move on their merry way if they want priority pick, and they need to take all the points if they want to end Group A right here and be the champions. Here they go. And see from up on high, you're right. They've kind of split into two sections and sandwiching the defense. They immediately are wiping this point out, and like I said, it's momentum based, and the momentum is on their side. The Division unstoppable on defense, and all of a sudden they look inevitable on offense.
Look at your screen. It's just all red. Look at the point. It's already getting captured. They're almost halfway towards the capture right there. There's almost no green that can kind of stop this at all. This is almost a done deal already.
Unreal. And again, it was just a perfectly set up attack. They had both angles correctly laid down, and then they just won their gunfights. They just outshot their opponents. And I think the timing as well looked a lot better from the attacking side here. This will be 100% a take of point A. Now the big question becomes, what next? Are we able to get all of them? These other points are still very difficult as well. B1, B2, C1, C2. I've probably played this map 100, if not more times, if you're a Warfare fan. So you know some of these other points. HQ, decently difficult. We'll see a lot of that tug of war we always talk about in Warfare, but Done and dusted for Point A. Group A not done, but we know for a fact Division will have priority selection going into round 3 if we even see a round 3. So now the only question that remains for this Group A competition, Vivid, is whether or not Division takes every single point.
Yeah, that was crazy right there. I don't even think I saw their tickets go below like 160 or something like that. So they definitely had a great push right off the rip right there. Amazing stuff from them. And you know, B1 and B2 here on the second set of capture points. B1 is always a very, very tricky one. I feel like the head glitches that are kind of over there that you can kind of step up on the boxes with the barbed wire that's there make it very, very difficult to kind of push in. But, you know, kind of trying to look at where all the defenders are kind of at, it looks like there's like very few on B1.
Yeah.
Are there none?
Yeah, it looks like that this is a kind of somewhat classic strat with Cracked. I'm not a huge fan of it, but it does make some sense. Is that holding both of these points is going to be near impossible. So we call this the tug of war in Warfare, and the tug of war will start by essentially the defense giving, one side of the rope to the attack. They're going to say, okay, you guys can have B1, we'll sit on B2. And if you do see a hugely aggressive push from B1 over to B2 by the attackers, sometimes the defense will also just swap sides with them and take it back. So instead of trying to slow them down, they're just seceding to B2 because they think they can hold it a bit better.
Okay. Let's see what you're saying there. Okay, good stuff. We'll have to see if that kind of comes into play, but tank on tank action, right? I feel like this is going to be a big, decisive battle here. You can see the attacking tank is already put down to about a quarter HP, and another shot kind of comes in from the tank right there. Going to be standing on what feels like its last leg as the push comes in from the defender. This tank is kind of, overstaying its welcome and somehow is taking a lot of return damage. Oh my God.
No. What? Oh, okay. So, first of all, a shout out to our defensive tank driver there. Was getting really aggressive and actually was winning that battle. The thing that the attackers had, though, is they had one single engineer doing God's work on the map, man. Was able to keep the tank alive to an iota of health, just enough for the return fire to take down our defensive tank. And this is going to be spelling disaster for Squirtle Squad. As they're down a tank, the attackers now have a fully healthy tank, I would assume. And B1 long gone, and B2 probably soon to follow.
Yeah, huge shout out to Matt Freeze there, of course, the commander of the division as well, being the one operating that tank over there. You would imagine that it was probably a squad mate that was kind of pulling out those engineering godlike maneuvers right there. And yeah, now that tank went ahead and survived it. You could see he was trying to kind of poke his head in towards B2 right there, but the fact that it's such a tight corridor to actually get the tank in there, he was like, yeah, not going to kind of stay around there.
It does look like, I think it's Matt Freeze actually driving the tank for the attacking side. That's going to be the division's commander, by the way, also driving the tank. So Matt Freeze doing everything in between to make sure that his team comes out successful. And so far, so good. The division looking very, very strong. Now, they haven't touched B2 too much yet, just trying to set up a correct push. Unfortunate death there on main, but the attackers slowly but surely clamping in, hunting their prey.
Yeah, you want to talk about the push. I feel like the all-in is kind of here, right? We kind of talked about how Matt Freeze poked his head into this point earlier on, decided to kind of back out. The tank actually found its way back in at the same exact time that the flank came in from behind as well after they went ahead and won that. So that seemed very, very synchronized on the side of the division. This B2 point is now almost at about halfway captured, but Ghost talked about it. Look at that. The tug of war. Somebody's trying to fight for B1. That's going to be thwarted very, very quickly.
Yeah, so this is the other huge advantage that the attackers have. Because they traded out and won the fight against the defensive tank, they can actually just sit basically a tank and an engineer or two over there on B1, while the entire rest of the attackers swing over to B2. I mean, yeah, you're down, 2 players? You can shell with the tank, and the attackers don't really care about numbers right now. They're winning their gunfights, and they're going to win B1 and B2 and force this to go to at least to C and see if somehow, some way, the Squirtle Squad can re-stabilize. This is unreal.
Yeah, the division just doing such a good job at controlling pretty much everything The early push, check. The vehicle game, check. The macro game in terms of, establishing or kind of designating where your resources want to be, check. Although that being said, goes right, we kind of thought that B2 was locked down for the attackers. The huge defensive push from the Squirtle Squad, they've actually reclaimed it.
Yeah, that's a great shout. There are moments of greatness. There's hints that maybe the Squirtle Squad can do something in this matchup. This is a great retake with what looked like it was utter disaster. Now, our tank has gotten extremely aggressive. Our tank has now moved over to B2, trying to capitalize on the momentum that the attackers have. So Matt Freeze getting involved. I'm seeing a lot of red lighting up this kill feed now with the tank onto the map with green soon following after. So still a decently even battle. The defense able to get to this point a little bit faster than they would B1. So they're electing to just try to hold on here.
I feel like right now, though, it looks like a lot of red is making a lot of progress. And yeah, that's going to be shown towards that progress bar right there. Oh, 2 vehicles now going to be established onto the point for the attacking squad. I still don't see a defensive vehicle kind of returning to the battlefield ever since that tank went down. So the points, they must be scarce for the Squirtle Squad right now. And now the rooftops, right, they seem to be in full control of the division. The ground game seems to be in control. B2 is looking quite weak.
I'm going to be honest. I know all these squads qualified separately, but the division is looking like a well-oiled machine. They didn't need time to get their chemistry going. I mean, the pushes are near perfect. The way they're setting them up from multiple angles, I suppose listening to their captains and their commander who's yelling out orders of when to go and how to move there, everything looks very, very well executed. And now you can see even on a flank in a hopeful hero play from the defense to just try to take back B1, immediately gets sniffed out, and all of a sudden there's 5-6 attackers back here completely taking control of the map.
This is awesome, right? Competitive warfare. If I was playing a pub match right there and I just went ahead and hit a great push, got like 10 kills, picked up B2, and then I look back and B1's like, no, it's gone. We lost it, right? But no, they know. Goj knew this was going to be a strategy that they tried to employ, right? That tug of war, try to go ahead and go for B1. There was like 5 people on B1 ready to defend it from the Squirtle Squad. They knew that was going to come in, and all of their efforts are rewarded. They go ahead and pick up the second set of capture points. One more set to go.
Yeah, and again, with us not listening into the comms, I still want to give some creds to Matt Freeze because the commander is doing something right. You see Matt Freeze, again, he got really aggressive with a tank to go to B2 to try to help out his team and gain momentum back. But when he did that, I can only assume he told one of the squads or 2 of the squads, hey, I'm leaving, pull back. I'm going to bring the tank into B2, make sure they don't retake B1. And it was a great sniff of that route getting cut down quickly. So now we're on a C1, C2. Obviously, we've got kind of our hangar here on the left-hand side. This is an interesting one. It's one that we talk about a lot because you can technically blow it up if you get enough points to call in guided missiles, and you get a couple of guided missiles on top of it. You can literally remove this point from the game. So we may see that from the attackers. Honestly, I don't think we'll even get there. The game hasn't been going very long, so I don't think they'll have enough points for the guided missile, but they will probably go for C1 first.
Look at this. You can see set a lower here, right? Eyes on that tank. That tank has been around on the match for such a long time. You got to feel like the Squirtle Squad engineers, they got to be rolling their eyes right now. They're like, oh man, the tank was so low. How did we not blow that thing up before? And now they feels like they got to deal with it, right? The pressure that is on their shoulders right now is set the lower. Going to be making big moves right there with the shield.
Hey, look, we see some Seneva gameplay and operations, but you'll see it in Warfare too, especially if we get trench lines. A lot of these CQB positions with Seneva are very, very valuable to have that shield, but either way you look at it, a nice little win there, but we'll see if they can win overall. Of course, some map destruction will help us out, open some more things up for this building, but again, I think our attackers are prioritizing C1 for now. And they're getting a little bit of work on it, but now it looks like actually the tank is moving in and sniffs that guy out quickly. Tank shell to the face, that'll do it.
Yeah, tank getting some value right there. It's really, I mean, hey, listen, we got to tip our hat. The incredible gameplay here. But it's not that hard once you get a tank inside of a building to kind of blow somebody up, right? So,
That's right.
Picking up some easy kills right there. But as you can see, just, playing it so well, not getting greedy, kind of goes in, picks up 2 kills, realizes that he's taken a couple of rockets, backs out, goes ahead and lets the engineers going to go ahead and work on the tank, and then boom, we'll go ahead and reaggress and go ahead and find some more value out of that. The tank has just survived for way too long for them to be doing bad right now.
No, 100%. I mean, this is insane value on your vehicles. We were talking about at the top of the show. You got to prioritize vehicle gameplay, either offensive or defensive. Be able to use this tank from the beginning of the game until now. Such a huge value add for the attackers. The division looking very strong. And again, what it actually looked like happened is they went for a infantry push over to C2. It's a nice take here from Bear as well. Infantry push to C2 while the tank moved to C1 with only one squad kind of lagging behind it. It opened things up a little bit. The attackers reset after being thwarted on C2. And a lot of folks came over here to C1 to try to take this hangar immediately.
Now, I won't lie. We have seen some defenders kind of invest their time over towards C1, but I feel like it hasn't been that many. And to me, you know, they're actually holding on to it for quite some time right now, even though it doesn't feel like there's been like a huge investment from the defenders. Maybe I'm not necessarily seeing things properly, but
no, yeah.
It only ever feels like there's like 5 to maybe like 8 defenders at one time kind of towards C1 right now.
Yeah, no, I think that's a really good shout. I mean, one of the things we'll see, again, I talk about tug of war all the time when it comes to warfare because that's truly what it feels like. But for Cracked, and especially on the last points of any map, the defenders, they spawn so close to the points that you basically always lose the war of attrition if you don't execute it flawlessly. And so it looked like the attackers were actually going to try to go for both at the same time. And finally, we see some value. A tank destroyer on the map here for the defense finally gets rid of Matt Freeze, I believe, out of his tank. Now, I will say, I can only expect him to pick up another vehicle here shortly, and, well, here's one of them. Bear getting into the mix with their tank destroyer of their own, and they have an IFV.
Yeah, I think that was Wormy from the Squirtle squad right there, right? So you kind of talked about how good he is with vehicles. He was like, all right, listen, that tank, our engineers aren't doing it. I'm going to go ahead and take care of it myself. Kind of hops in the vehicle and makes quick work of the tank right there. So good to see Wormy kind of getting some momentum in terms of the vehicle game right now. And if you actually, you know, pay attention toward the top middle of your screen right now, C1 is actually still in possession of the defenders. The attack side has not gone ahead and finalized the capitalization over there, even though it seems like to me with all the vehicle investment that's kind of gone towards that hangar, I feel like it should have happened.
Yeah, no, I really like that shout. Something else you'll see top middle of your screen, it says urgent deployment time remaining. This is something else commanders can call in. This is a way for you to get back onto the map much faster. So, you know, in warfare, if you die, it takes a second for you to respawn. This kind of power up or boon that you can give as a commander, if you have enough score to call it, essentially allows you to respawn instantaneously upon death. So this is a huge boon for whichever side decided to use it. And so far, so good for the attackers. Now, I will say, it does look like they are going to get C1 for now. We are only down to 80 lives or so, 81 still counting, which is plenty to take C2. But whether they got just point A or they get everything besides C2, a win is a win. If Squirtle Squad is able to just hold on to C2 and stop this momentum, they could still win the map and force it to game 3.
Yeah, I feel like the biggest thing over here is going to be the vehicle. I can see Lobot over there on the attacking side. He was getting very, very low in terms of his vehicle HP, but was able to go ahead and escape. You can see the defenders, they still have their vehicle kind of in the back lines, not necessarily getting in the mix, which we really, really like. And oh my gosh, this spot on C2, by the way, it's like my favorite spot in the game. Up here on top of the rooftop, it's very, very hard for defenders to actually go ahead and destroy anything that kind of gets placed up here. And as you can see, the beacon kind of comes down. This could be the play that goes ahead and secures C2. And as you can see right now, they're taking it fast.
Yeah, you called this position out near the end, very beginning of this game. I really like that spot as well, and you're right. Respawn beacon there is massive for the attack. You can see we got an IFV tank destroyer all around this point. Mr. Wormy a little under half health. And they're going to try to keep this vehicle alive if they can, but it's utter chaos. Smokes are in. Smokes galore. And unfortunately, nobody can get a handle on what the heck is going on around this point. It's utter chaos, baby. It's warfare.
Seems like the hold is actually in right there, right? You can see the bar kind of going back towards fully green, so I think that was successfully thwarted. And I did see in the middle of that capture, C1 also was, you know, attempted to get recaptured, right? So somebody is kind of playing that game towards, hey, listen, you know, if things start to go bad over here on C2, I want to go ahead and look towards C1. But yeah, I mean, when you kind of tune into some of these attack-sided positions, he seems so strong. I mean, yeah, the first push was kind of thwarted, but look how easy it is for them to kind of establish another push.
Oh, yeah, and there's so much value coming in here. Matt Freeze picking up Wormy from distance. Wormy officially out of his original vehicle. And this is Venom on your screen right now. Again, Venom was top scorer because of revives on the side of the division.
Yeah, let's see here. I think one of the defending vehicles finally went down. I do see one still off in the distance, but it looked like it was heavily injured. So they are kind of hesitant to kind of go towards the point and help go ahead and defend this, which they may just need to go ahead and send it soon. And yeah, sure enough, here they come. They're going to go ahead and start running people over. They're going to try to recapture this point. That's going to be Asta TTV.
Wow.
They're kind of making sure they make a push. Boom, it kind of works out, right? They blow up the vehicle on the other side.
Wow.
They do go down, but I feel like that was needed.
It was needed. I mean, you had to make a play like that. You're desperate. I mean, you're clutching at anything you get your hands on. As much as it's been division domination, look at this. The tug of war is in. Ooh. C1 now in jeopardy, and take a look at our lives. Only 34 lives remaining. People are going to have to prioritize revives if you're on the attacking side if you want a chance to still win it right here and win Group A. The problem with this idea is if it is not executed correctly, the defense will lose the game. They've got to take C1. C2 is going to the attackers pretty much assuredly at this point. They've got to hold it, and so far so good on C1.
I feel like C1's got to be going back towards Squad right there. You can see them up top in that hangar, right? Once you get upstairs right there, yeah, whenever we saw defenders over there before, they got easily taken care of by the vehicles on the side of the attacking side. Well, guess what, Goj? The vehicles, they're all but gone now, so they can kind of hang out in that little building up there where that turret usually is, and they are very, very hard to kind of push out of there. And you can see right now they're all trying to work towards it, get them out of there, but C1 is fully recaptured for Squirtle Squad.
A huge retake, a great executed plan. Well done to Commander, whoever made that call, to be able to make a play like that. Retaking here is everything. There's only 3 lives remaining. It's looking like the Squirtle Squad will hold on for their dear lives and potentially win this map, and that's exactly what's going to happen. The Squirtle Squad somehow, some way, hold the final point. C1 and C2, finally, the tug of war we talk about. And finally, they're able to just hold on to the rope long enough for the game to call it. They did enough, just barely.